Hello, BFU-USA. Hello, all the members of our different chapters. Today is another special day. As we continue the coverage of BFU-USA Convention Countdown, we are getting everyone engaged and excited about what it means to be a member. Not just a member, an active member of BFU-USA. Folks, never in the history of our organization has this level of excitement happened, in which our phones have not stopped ringing, in which active members from the north to the south, from the east to the west are looking to the future. They want to come on the show, and that is important. But before we get to every other feedback that we're receiving, let me tell you something that I've been waiting to say for a very long time. That we have got a lot of brains at BFU-USA. We've got a lot of energetic people, folks, that have made this organization what it is. BFU-USA has been existing now for close to, if not more than 4 decades. So before anyone make a statement about, why are you people not doing this at BFU? Remember, BFU has been existing for close to 4 decades, and a lot of work has gone in to bring us to where we are. But to help us in tonight's show, talk about what is this BFU that has gotten people so excited? What is our organization made of? What is our operational structure? What does it mean to start a chapter wherever you are? What does it take to organize a convention that gets everyone so excited, wanting to go? For some people, that is their one vacation in a year. This is serious, people. I have got just the caliber of guests that will help shed light into these issues. Because at BFU-USA Let's Play Hardball, we bring you the juicy information you need. We bring you facts, historical information, content that has relevancy and immediacy. So, folks, are you ready for tonight's prime time show? Are you ready to meet the awesome, the amazing guests that I have reserved just for you? The brains behind some of the things that you just take for granted at BFU-USA. The power that makes things happen. Without much ado, let's meet the amazing, the phenomenal, the historical guests at BFU-USA Let's Play Hardball. And folks, here you got it. We have here one, Tado Christian Bime, a doctor who is not only curing people, but teaching people how to cure people. You have to be very careful. We are proud of who we are, and that is what we have here. This is somebody who has not only been an active member of BFU-USA, he is holds several positions, including being the vice president, being the president of BFU-USA, to playing the critical foundational role that makes us to start a chapter. Do I have to talk about Samba, DC, and what happened there to get it up and running? Folks, Tadra is here. I'm amazed at the energy and the time he takes to make this happen. Then on the other side of it, we have Divine Jodika. Folks, if you have been around BFU, then Divine needs no introduction. Even those who don't belong to any chapter, they still know him. You know why? Because the work he does to make our convention happen is beyond words. And how long has he been doing it? How long has he been doing it? Year after year, administration after administration, he's been doing it. without complaining, doing it with grace, doing it with the kind of attention to detail that we need before a convention can happen. Folks, these are your guests tonight. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you very much, Ntung, for that wonderful introduction. It is a pleasure to join BFU-USA Let's Play Hardball. I am very excited to join the show today, and I look forward to a spirited discussion. There has never been a convention with more excitement than this one. I am not sure if it's because of the 3-year hiatus that was caused by the pandemic, but boy, there is excitement in the air, and I am just excited and happy like everybody else to be part of this show. I am happy that my co-invitee to this show is none other than Divine Jojaka, our able organizing secretary. Thank you very much for inviting me to the show.
Excellent. And Taddy, welcome, man. Welcome, my brother.
Doom. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk on this show, especially with an elder brother. Not only that we've known each other from years past. He's one person that day after I feel like, man, I think I should just dump this beer. Everything he says, man, just do the work and keep quiet. And so I'm very, very pleased to be on this show with you.
Excellent. All right. So let's start with one fundamental question about BFU. You see, you've been hearing a lot of things about communication and all of that, and there is BFU and it's got a mission. Let's start from there. What is the mission of BFU-USA? And Tadra, I will start with you.
That's an excellent question. And I'll begin to answer the question by referring everyone to our logo, which says BFU-USA Likibumi, and where that name came from. For those who have cared to understand the history, that name was given by the founder of SOP when the founders of BFU-USA reached out and informed the fund that they were starting such an organization. And he told them that this name signifies that they are now out there in the diaspora, what we call in our dialect, Bitumbe Sangboy. And so you are now out there and you're going to have to learn to lead yourselves, to grow yourselves, and to teach your offsprings the way of our land. And so BFU is all about family, coming together as a cultural group, as a family, to learn, to grow, to band together so that we can grow in this new world, to face the challenges as one. And so for me in particular, when I think of BFU, for the time that I've been a member, I believe that it is existential for our culture that BFU continue to grow. And as someone who has moved from DC to Arizona, I always felt that that nucleus, that unit of BFU is a family, and it starts from the functional chapter, because that's where things happen every day, every week, every month. And so BFU is something that is very dear to my heart. All of my 4 girls have grown in BFU. They are products of BFU. And even though they don't go home often, they know so much about home thanks to BFU.
Well said. Well said. And I stand to continue to learn. You know that I did not know the origin of this name, Likibomi. And you see, all we need to do is open ourselves up. And we learn something new every day. And that is what makes this show very, very, important to me, that we can have these nuggets of information coming and that I'm learning every day. And so I'm going to turn to Taddy here. Taddy, you understand the operations of BFU and you've been around. And so you play a certain role that some people think of you as the BFU policeman. Because you kick people off of the platform, but you are playing a role that is critical in shaping the message, in shaping and trying to remind people of what the organization is about, right? to those detractors out there who don't understand what you do, can you share what that role is that you play, even though it annoys some people, and how it ties to the mission that Tadom just defined?
Yes, and thanks Tadom for clearly and well articulating our name here and our guiding principle. Truth be told, I feel very, very uncomfortable when I have to call somebody out, when I have to tell somebody, title holder, my age mate, my brother, look, I might be forced to kick you out. I am, like you rightly said, unfortunately, the name policeman. But as the organization's secretary, I simply am the engine of the organization by enforcing what the president directs me to do. And in that, I try as much as possible. And it comes in with many challenges for those who might not know. But I learned when my mentor earlier introduced me to this job, Yaya Senzo Musata. She said, do your work. If you know you are doing the right thing, don't bother about the things that are going to distract you. Many people will criticize you. You will fall out with a lot of people. But if you know deep within your heart that you are doing the right thing in this organization and standing by its mission, tomorrow you will look back and all of them will know you are doing the right thing. And that is why I try to follow all the time.
Well said, well said. BFU is Boy Family Union. And so we are one family. And our brother just talked about, he's a father of 4 girls, and I'm a father of 4 girls, and all of us here are parents. And
I'm a father of 2.
Father of 2. So like, you are 2 and then you know, I think what that does, it reminds me is that I need to be sending you more Jama Jama because because 2 more are still on the way. But seriously, you see, we are a family, we're a musician made up of families, and these families truly need this kind of organization where they learn a lot, right? And so what that is bringing me to is it's just us talking family, right? And Tadi, can you share with us, how you balance family? You're a father of 2 and you are very busy. How you are able to balance that? Because there is the excuse of some people that, I can't be able to, participate really, into this because I have a family, I'm done over. But how are you able to do that?
There is one thing that you should ask each other when we come in to do this work is, do you love BFU-USA? If the answer is yes, then you can find time. You have a very, very busy schedule to squeeze 1 hour to do BFU work at least a week or at least once a month, which is attending a chapter meeting. I must say, the truth is that I am not, if you are going to show love for BFU and there was a scale, I think my wife is even of a very, very high scale. Her bar for what you do as a BFU member is far higher than what I do, and I must tell you that. And she is at the chapter level. I think she puts in just too much. But I must say that if you love BFU-USA, you will find time to do the work. There are so many ways that you can get involved. One, National Organizing Secretary. You go to a meeting and you see a chapter struggling to get a representative to show up for 1 hour in a month in a chapter that have 50 members plus, just to have one person represent their chapter at the planning committee for the convention. Or when they do, they don't even take that message back to the chapter and say, this is what is discussed, this is what is discussed. And it takes us endless debates online, where at some point people get frustrated and just cross the line where it comes across as disrespectful or harmful, for lack of a better term. But if you love BFU, you can always, irrespective. And everybody that knows that, and I follow his model. He's a medical doctor. He's a medical professor working in the hospital, teaching doctors. He has 2 kids, moved to a new area, formed the chapter. I always tell people he's the most available medical doctor that exists in America. And apart from being family, if we talk family, how the kids, how his wife and everything, we laugh, we talk about our Kumu things. The next thing is BFU business. Where are you with BFU business? What is going on? How are you doing this? So I think that if you just have love for BFU and you have love and believe in BFU's mission, you can always create time to be part of the organization. And there are various avenues. Even if you are in an area where there's no chapter, there is always a way to work. There's always a way to give back.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan. And I am going to pause this because there are some stories that need to be told just to shed light. And that's what we're doing today. To look at, so before you complain about lack of time, it's about that love that you are just talking about, my brother. And I want to point out the other organizations that are also kind of related to BFU, that some of you are already actively involved. I'm going to get to Arizona chapter in just a second, but let's focus on Tadra. Let's focus on your time in DC and the historical context around which you were a full active member of DC chapter. And there was a time there was never a Sama. Some people should not always think that Sama was always there. If you can just share with us what your life was like, what you were doing at the time, and still found time for how Sama came about. Let me put it like that. And you know what I mean. Please, can you share that nugget of information so that people can begin to understand that you can find time if you really love something and you are devoted towards it?
Absolutely, Ntong. If I have to give all the details of the origin of Samba, we'll need maybe 10 shows, but I'll try to summarize. The story of Samba DC will be incomplete without me invoking the memory of our wonderful Shea Majo.
Very good.
The story starts in 2011, around the same time. We are in the beautiful San Jose before the area became overpopulated. Beautiful weather, nice convention. That I would say arguably the best convention that I've ever attended, and Divine can concur. But that convention was notable for the fact that the number of people who attended was very small. And when it came for DC to present its performance, well, there was really nothing. So D and I and Shea Manjo got together and said, well, just tell the MC we have Samba DC. We're going to just get a few people, go there and dance. So, we always had New Jersey to the rescue. So we had a few people who could hit the drums, and we just went there and performed. And after that performance, we huddled together, Shea Manjo, D and I, and we said, this is kind of embarrassing. We can't come from DC and be doing this kind of, haphazard, impromptu thing. And so when we went back, we called a few people that we knew were dynamic members of DC. So Tagwe, Weifonlon, Dr. Nikota, Valentine Seganka, Jean-Claude Kilo, Divine, and myself. We sat in Shea Manjo. We sat in his house, in the kitchen. And that's when we had the first discussion about if we should proceed with this Samba as a formal group. The first question was easy, unanimous yes. Immediately after that, Shea Manjo, knowing the history of some of the people present at that meeting, immediately said, well, before we proceed, I need to get a guarantee from all of you that Samba is going to be an integral part of BFU-USA. But mind you, at that time, I was just being introduced to, the group. I didn't know the dynamics. And boy, there was an explosion. It was split into two camps. There were people who did not want to hear it. They're like, no, we don't want to have anything to do with BFU. This. And so luckily, being the neutral person, I said, okay, why don't we come to a compromise? We start the group. And then, because I said, listen, the platform that Samba will always have must come through BFU. Samba will not exist if we didn't go to California to try to dance. And so whether we like it or not, Samba will always need BFU. And so we started it with the compromise that if Samba were to ever perform anywhere, including at the BFU event, Samba will need to be paid. But the compromise was that we will pay ourselves to go perform at the BFU event. And our understanding was that over time, we'll be able to then bring those people back, to become active members of BFU. And that's how it all started. And then fast forward a few years later, more people joined. We had a big launch event. I think that was sometime in 2012. And we were able to raise a lot of money, got a lot of equipment, including Menang, that performed, you remember, in Minnesota and won the first prize, remember, at the Minnesota convention. And that's how the group grew.
Right.
And so fast forwarding to to today, I see in 2013 I finished my training and left for Arizona, and I stayed on as an honorary Samba member. But the group has grown stronger and stronger. Dee can say more about where the group is at this time. But every time I speak to him, or I just recently spoke to Albert Consor, who is in the Love Samba at this time, and I reminded him of this history, and he was shocked to hear some of the things that I told him, because, as with most things over time, there are new members who come in and do not know the history, and sometimes without knowing the history and the origins of where we started, it's very easy to get completely sidetracked and drift all the way to a place that is not in line with what the founders really thought about. So this is a very condensed version of the Samba story. The saga continues, to put it mildly.
Wow, that is amazing, amazing. Folks, we are heading to DC, and as Tadom just said, Samba has become one of the mainstays of the convention, and we love it. We do. But there is, like everything, there's a foundation to that. So if you are new to Samba, here is a story. If you are new to Samba and you see a very big wall between Samba and BFU-USA DC chapter, then you are forgetting where you came from. All right? So, and it's that end that I'm going to say, D, is there a big wall between Samba DC and BFU-USA DC chapter? Folks, we're here to play hardball. Don't forget.
I must say that it's a continuous work in progress to encourage. Like Tadon said, there were people who were on complete side of the aisle on where Samba should be, and I must say, credit to given to them. The last convention in DC, they hosted the barbecue.
Very good.
To a tone of 10,000. As we Samba DC have raised $14,000 for the barbecue on Sunday. That should tell you that they know that everyone knows the importance of that. There is no actually a wall between Samba DC and BFU-USA DC chapter. There is none. It's just I just believe that they are not where I would love them to be, and that's my personal opinion. Some people think that it is the right thing, but every day, like Tadre indicated, he spoke with our current staff, Albert Consor, and I continue to do education to encourage the newer people there who can come around Most of them are registered for the convention. They are passionate about the convention. They love to hear what is happening around the convention. The debate in Samba is about this upcoming convention. They really want to participate, and the younger folks who are coming in think that it is a very, very good platform. They don't see the difference, and I think that the unfortunate incidents are when the past two former DC chapter presidents reach out to them to say, okay, my brothers come there, and they were literally chased out. That's where I got frustrated with them sometimes. That sometimes as Nso warriors, our show of strength and times and as men sometimes go to limit can come across very uncomfortable. But I think and I believe that Sama DC, as the days go by, many of them and the current DC president is still doing continuous outreach. We hope. There are people that I expect that would have done more than just saying, oh, we encourage people to come to Samba, that should stand their ground and say that, you know what, this is unacceptable, we should do better. But it's a work in progress, as I hope. And just like Tado said, the initial thought was that as time goes on, we'll be, and it's what it is.
folks, this is amazing conversation here on origins of Samba, on the relationship with BFU-USA, and it's all about us. These are issues that concern us. So if you are just tuning in, this is BFU-USA. Let's play hardball. We are going to take a musical break, and when we come back, we are going to be talking chapters. Is BFU made up of different chapters, including a chapter called National? Is that a chapter? And how about the creation of new chapters? How did Arizona chapter come to be? Folks, stay tuned. We'll be right back. Folks, welcome back. Now we are here on BFU-USA. Let's play hardball, and I am going to put on the screen here the BFU-USA convention flyer. This is actually the website where you can go to and register. You can see the artwork that goes into this. There is a lot of work that has gone into making this possible. And before we get to talking chapters, let's focus a little bit about just the convention. BFU-USA DC chapter is working really hard to make this happen. I want to turn to our national organization, national organizing secretary, to give us a recap of the kind of work that goes into making a day, not just a day, but days like this happen. Okay, like when do you start the preparation? What goes into this? I know we may need multiple shows, like Tad already said, but in summary, what goes into planning and executing the convention?
Thanks again, Tung. Before we go to any city, the first thing you're going to ask anyone is, where are members going to live? Where are they going to have this convention? How accessible is the hotel from the airport? What is the ballroom size? If you can remember, there was a discussion about us having big artists. While some people are coming for vacation, as the organizing secretary, you are sitting at hotels to see which one can fit the budget of an average BFU member, or a middle class BFU member, or super rich BFU member. Is that environment good for them? How is it accessible to the airport? How family friendly are they? The food we eat, the hotel going to accept the food we eat? What about the DJ? Can we external vendors for audiovisuals, DJ, and all whatnot, external caterers? Those things come into play. How affordable are the room nights? How many room nights do they have? How big is their hall? And when you put those factors together, so before a convention comes in 2 years into even hosting, the chapter that's hosting in 2 years from now is already thinking, is this location best for us? And they're sending us quotes, we give them our old contracts, and the hotel starts reviewing. Then we sit at the executive and say, okay, hey, chapter A, you didn't do your homework, go back and start from scratch. These 5 hotels, 6 hotels that you sent to us are not. And as they are doing, thank God with internet, we are also shopping in the area to see what works. Before you contract, before you go and look at it and everything. Now, the hotel gives you that information. You already know the ballpark. What bill lies in front of you when you walk in as BFU-USA on Thursday? You now assemble all the chapter representatives in what they call National Convention Committee and say, guys, here are the list of 5 hotels that were supplied by this chapter, or 6 or 10. We think that, can you review and get back to us? Some chapters respond and never ever respond. And the work continue. You can come back 3 months after and the representative takes you back and say, oh, I think this hotel is better because of this. And fair enough, they were not at the meeting. They take you back, you try to review to give them an opportunity. Once you have that, then the planning phase starts. Now we have this contract. Now we can go ahead with contract A, we can go ahead with contract B, who is going to be the DJ, who is going to be the cook. All of us know hotels will not accept food from Mamiya's Sikri in DC. So,
and before we get to the food from Mamiya
in DC,
before we get to food, let me because it's people are coming there looking to eat food from left and right, and there are a lot that goes into that. But who that thought on food from Mamiya? Let me turn to Tadra from a overall strategic perspective. Now you've had the chance to oversee these things happen, to work on strategy, and even now as a member of the board, and I don't know whether I mentioned that when I was doing your intro, right? Because Fox Tadom is a member of our board of governors, and so he has both an angle in execution because he's done it, and then a strategic kind of vision, of where we are going, and then now a more supervisory role of where we are and where we should be headed as an organization. So when you look at what he was just describing, okay, what role do you see the board playing, and what are those mechanics that we are beginning to put in place that ensures that as convention continue to be such an attraction, that is, we are not missing things out? Is there a document that others can follow and things like that? Like from a more strategic leadership role, what is going on?
Thank you very much, Tung. That's an excellent question. And, Dee already alluded briefly to it in its very, very eloquent summary. You see, let me just backpedal a little bit, because as a member of the board, it's important that I direct people to statutes. See, BFU-USA has bylaws, as every organization should. And those bylaws are a document that has been updated over several years. You mentioned that BFU is almost 4 decades old. So that's 4 decades of work, very hard work by very committed people. some who have given their entire life to BFU, literally speaking. And that document may not be perfect, but it is our guiding light that just needs to be continuously fixed. And so for me, and I'll advise every member of BFU, joining BFU, or if you haven't had a chance to, always go back to that document and read it because it has a lot of information. It will not have all the nuances that Dee has elucidated because, of course, the Constitution is just, a general guiding principle. And sometimes the wording may not capture in its entirety the intent of those who crafted and voted for it. However, as we grow, we begin to identify areas that need to be improved. And I'll give you one example. When we recognized that hosting a convention was becoming more complicated, Dee just started. That was just a beginning. I mean, he could go on forever. You know this, Brendan and Tung Brenda. It is complicated. And so Tim Tassin actually came up, and it was mostly work done by Divine, with a convention hosting manual. So that if you're a new chapter president and you're thinking of hosting a convention, you have something to guide you. So that it's not a bylaws, but it's a working document, because without that kind of document, you would not know the nuances of how the organization functions, especially most people are new. Another example is something that happened recently that I have to mention now that you introduced me as a board member. We are acutely aware that in 3 days from the convention, our 501c status is still hanging in the balance. And when it occurred, when we identified the lapse, there was plenty of blame to go around, and the board also took a brunt of that blame. Without being reactive about it, we have now tried to establish procedures at the level of the board that will allow for more of a checklist reporting when the president of the organization comes to the board. Prior to this, we had allowed for more of an ad hoc presentation, but we live and we learn, and I belong to many other boards, and we found that in order to avoid some of these lapses that the board would then adopt, in addition to ad hoc elements of our agenda, we would have a structured reporting so that when the president comes to report, there are things that are expected to be reported on, because otherwise the board is going to be in the dark. Right? We only found out that we had lost our 501c status because we were informed about it. Remember, there are people with very strong opinions about how active the board is supposed to be. Those who do not want the board to have any active role can then not turn around and be surprised that the board only heard about the problem at the same time as they did. And so we have to, like I said, we live and we learn. And as an organization, we have to look at some of these things and grow from them. So I say all of this just to say that BFU is one of the most structured cultural organizations I've been part of, and we are still continuing to grow. But in order to grow and get better, we need for people to be involved. And the incubator for BFU's growth is at the chapter level. That's where you're going to learn a lot of things, because that's where you meet, monthly, virtually, in person. That's where you practice. That's where you get to know people. That's where you network. New people come in, they send them to me. I get new visitors, I send them to other people. We learn, we grow together.
And on that note, Che, Tadam, let me take a moment here to recognize something. Divine, as part of Team Tassin, oversaw the production of a document that can allow. I want to recognize that, because everything you are saying is absolutely critical and important to hear. But I'm taking a moment to highlight that, because sometimes people don't see the efforts of others. We need to be able to pat each other on the back and applaud them for what they've done. He oversaw the creation of a document that can now allow chapters to host a convention. This is huge. Please, there is a manual in place that his work generated. the board is putting a structure in place that will allow for a lapse like what we currently have not happen again. That needs to be applauded, folks. It does. We should, when we are quick to point out lapses, we should also be quick to give applause where it is needed. And I'm saying thank you to members of the board who are working hard to make sure things are rectified and are taking steps to make sure it doesn't happen again. Thank you, Mr. Organizing Secretary, and the entire team TASIN, who are leaving behind structures in place that we can be proud of and that will take the organization forward. Before I took over the mic from Tadom to make these critical observations, he was talking about the role of chapters. So we're going to take a pause here and listen to just this short musical interlude and then have him give us more insights into the critical role of the chapters and how he came about to create or to help found a chapter in the desert. Take a listen. That is how I'm going to get paid. You have to go and get money. Because you're going to go get money. Okay. All right, I'm going to pause here. Folks, this is just a snippet of what happened in Arizona. Look at the environment, the ambience that is there, the hall, everything that you see there happened because someone had an idea, had a vision, and didn't just sit back and wait for it to materialize, put in the work. That eventually led to this. Even the entire production of this event in itself is still phenomenal. Not to talk of the building blocks, which are that of creating a chapter that was then founded. That I took a pause mic from you because you were talking about this, and I wanted to interject this. Folks, let's have Tada tell us the story of the founding of this chapter that will tie in with what Tadimani was just saying about the critical role of chapters, working with him at the level of National Organizing Secretary to be able to make a convention happen. Because what you're seeing there looks like a convention. But I can assure you, folks, that is not a convention. That is the founding of a chapter. So, Tadom, take it away.
John, thank you very much. As a proud BFU-USA Arizona chapter member, I am just so excited imagining that on Friday morning, when they will be launching the convention, that our children from Arizona will also stand tall with our beautiful sunrise flag and represent. You know, for a long time, my wife and I were lucky because our children could always join these kids and be part of DC, right? They had that luck that they had been in DC, so they could sneak in and be part of BFU DC. But I felt sorry for the other children of my friends here in Arizona who would be lost. They don't know where to go. You know, we have to look to the future. These children are looking for identity, for an identity. And something as simple as that, the kids show, when every chapter is coming in with their flag. When a child doesn't have a chapter, you don't know until you talk to them. That's just let folks think about that. So if you are from Ohio, from Chicago, from Florida, from Southern California, if you don't have a chapter, from Michigan, start thinking about from Seattle. Think about what you're doing to your child when they come in and every state is represented and they're sitting and wondering, Dad, Mom, why are we not represented? So, jokes aside. So when we moved out here, we attended quite a few conventions, and I saw that there was a huge delegation from, the Valley, the Arizona area. that attended the convention, and they would ask a lot of questions. Tadam, how is this going? How could we become a chapter and all of that? And initially, I would refer them to the bylaws and say, just go ahead and read the bylaws and see if that's helpful, because I was busy. And I realized that during follow-up, a lot of them would still be confused, because as much as our bylaws define what chapters are, they are not a working document, right? The bylaws tell you what a chapter is. But if you know the history of BFU, you know that chapters sprung up because there were key persons, right? So if you look at your chapter, because Dr. Mike Toomey and the family happened to be there and he was involved, that's how Minnesota chapter became a chapter. If you look at Dallas, the same thing. You look at New Jersey, DC, those were the two founding chapters. Chicago. So when there was a dynamic with family union member in an area, that's how the chapter would spring up. And as the bylaws have evolved, we really never had guidance as to how to create a chapter. When I was president, there were some efforts. I notably remember New Mexico. They tried, they reached out. And Divine and I talked about this. Our concern was that there was no clear guidance, and we did not want a scenario where a chapter comes up but then fizzles because maybe the anchor was not there anymore. And so, as someone who believes that BFU-USA is nothing, and by the way, there's nothing called a national chapter. Just let's dispel that.
Okay, let's use that opportunity.
Let's get that out of the way. Anybody that says that does not know BFU, they need to go back to school. I'm saying this with a little bit of a serious face now. So anybody says that, just give them a look. So BFU-USA is a union of chapters, and so recognizing that we now have members who are leaving the DMV area or the populated areas and moving into the heartland of the USA, it became very important for us to think about how we would accommodate that. And so for almost 3-4 years, Dee, if you remember, you and I have been thinking about how to operationalize this. And so, long story short, through working collaboratively with Tim Tassin and the board and Tim Tassin actually worked together to make this happen. I don't want to pat my back, but I really was the brainchild for the guidelines for creation of chapters. So how do you become a chapter? And one of the things that we finally settled on was a recognition that not all chapters would be mature enough to host the convention outright. So there are now 2 tiers of chapter. The tier 1 is a chapter that can host the convention. And so we grandfathered those that had hosted the convention in the past year as tier 1 chapters. And then tier 2 chapters are like Arizona and others that will be coming, where they are going to function like any other chapter, with the difference that they are not yet mature enough to host the convention. And why did we do that? Prior to 2011 or 10, when DC hosted, it was very common for a chapter to fizzle after hosting the convention, just because of the challenges of hosting a convention. And so we wanted that before a chapter is approved to be able to host the convention, they would have demonstrated staying power. And so I apologize for being a little long-winded in these answers, but BFU is almost 40 years old, and there's no way you can explain nuances without taking a lot of time. And so, so again, I am motivated by the love for culture, by the need to build something that will outlive me and outlive my children, so that our children's children will never forget. We are here talking about Ngonso going back home. If our daughters were to ask us, what does that mean? We need not answer just by our words. We need to answer by our deeds. And I'll leave it there.
Wonderful. Well said. I know we are coming up here on time, and so I am going to turn to Tadi. DC convention. What do you have in stock for us?
Ntung and Tada. In 9 years as National Affairs Secretary, I have never been excited about a BFU convention. Take elections aside, nothing. The crowd we're going to have in DC, I don't know if it's because of the 2 years without a convention, the excitement, the numbers that we have seen in registration. Some people already arrived town today from California. People that I can't recall the last time they left California for a convention. They are already in town. So that the excitement, and like, remember when I said you are talking about Samba DC, these are groups that are excited for this convention to happen. Everybody is excited. DC is going to, thanks to its members, and I must say, president and its leadership, I must thank them for the cooperation, especially, and I must thank the other chapters that cooperated well. You cannot host this convention as an isolated chapter, even if you are the host. The Arizona chapter president, before each meet, is texting me. He's new to the union. That's a passion. Georgia, I had the most active participation I have had in the National Convention Committee I've never seen, and the highest cooperation that I've never seen in years, in my 9 years of doing this. And so we are looking forward to an exciting convention. We are looking forward to having a good time as a family. And DC, oh boy, is ready. DC is ready. From the Karashin room to the park to the barbecue to the surprises that we have in store for everybody. And I will tell you, Ntum, there's a big surprise that you will not have on the cultural night. Everybody just come ready. We're well packaged and ready for the union. And in let me just take one moment to recognize something that was said earlier, that the National Convention hosting manual. I think it was it would be horrible for me to take the credit. Shane Tassin is a very involved president when he did this after the California Convention with then Vice President Keishan, and they said, you know what, we can't be doing this haphazardly. We need to have a document down, because at some point we are lost on what we need to get. And they worked hard and made sure we produce that document. And it's not a perfect document. I hope that the upcoming new team will perfect them, just like chapters. We still put in place that, but I believe people do not have that information. I was talking to someone who called me from Baltimore. They are 1 hour away. You have a group, 20 of them. Why don't you guys apply to become a BFU Tier 2 chapter? He's like, what is that you're talking about? I said, oh, really? What the last time you were around? You can have that. We have places like Virginia that have more than 30, 14 sort of people resident there. They can have a Tier 2 chapter. Why not a Tier 1 chapter if they are very active? And the mother chapter will definitely support them to make sure that they are strong, even when they are hosting a convention. But I must say, I look forward to seeing all of you. We are very, very excited, and we are based mechanisms for some, at least when you draft this program, sometimes you edit them and review them and you come along, and I'm sure that this is going to produce the best ever convention we've ever had.
Fantastic. Folks, that's all we had time for today. I'm going to get our guests to give one last word before we bid them goodbye on the show. Let's have Tado go first. Last thoughts, sir.
Thank you, fellow members of BFU-USA. I am just so excited, but I want to tell you that the new chapter of the union, BFU-USA Arizona chapter, is ready. We are coming to storm DC. Get ready for the desert heat. We are ready. We are excited. So I look forward to seeing you all pretty soon. And shout out, like Divine said, to our amazing BFU DC Arizona chapter president, Elvis Sangui, and his team. They are doing a fantastic job. They are taking the learning process very seriously, and that is what we want. and I look at them and the new group of dynamic, involved members of our Arizona chapter, I know that the future is bright. And I want to thank Team Tassin, Divine, and everybody else on that team. They have done a fantastic job. 6 years is no small feat to serve the union. And finally, I look forward to an election, and I'm hoping that my candidate will win. I do not have to name my candidate, but my candidate is a great advocate for chapters, because as we've said here during this show, BFU is nothing without its chapters. So as we head to DC to vote, remember that BFU-USA is a union of chapters, and that's how we grow. So thank you, Ntung, for having us on the show. I am happy to have joined the show to play hardball, and I'm so thankful for the invitation.
Fantastic. Thank you. And the last word from Tadi.
What can I say? Ntung, thank you so much for inviting us to Let's Play Hardball. Nothing. I hope that you continue with this program. This is some platform where for us to continue to have a discussion as a union. I remember when I was still in Cameroon, there used to be a BFU radio show. I've forgotten what the name was. And all of us were always looking forward to it until I moved here. That was back then, 2006, 2007, 2008, when I came to the United States. And we used to look forward to that radio show produced by the union. And it was very good. And I'm glad that we have this platform. But before I say anything, I just want to let you know that this is ready. Team Tassin has prepared a wonderful convention for this union. I thank all the executive members of Team Tassin, especially my president, Shane Tassin. People hardly hear from him. Such a quiet guy. Not as I am, but he does a marvelous job behind the scene. And I'm grateful for the opportunity he gave me to work 6 years with him. Grateful for the opportunity with everyone that we work, and especially all the chapters and their representatives at the National Convention Committee, as well as the DC chapter. It's been a wonderful time. Can't wait to see the hard work that we've put in the last 3 years. And I just come and have fun. And most especially, I was forgetting the kids program. Please, for those that are not registered, register your kids. The team, Megan Bimi, Veran Tassin, Becky Shasha, and a lot of volunteers. I think they said they had about 12 volunteers for the first time. We have so many of them are ready to put together a wonderful program for our kids. My girls, they are already packed. They are like, are we going to the hotel tomorrow? I told them, wait, it's not until Thursday. They are just so excited. So thank you so much. I look forward. Everybody have a safe flight to DC. Make sure you check with the airlines to make sure that your flight these days is not canceled, and have a plan B. Put a rental if worst case, and start driving the flight starts canceling. But we don't hope for that. We look forward to seeing everybody.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, guys, for all the hard work that you do and have done for this union. You know, it's never easy to found something. And so to everybody who has participated in founding a chapter, a special shout out to you in Minnesota. A special shout out to Wanlanyo, Elvis Wanlanyo, Tao Gembu. He was one of he was the founding president here of Minnesota chapter. Special shout out to you, my brother. And to all of you out there who are working hard to ensure that this convention is a success. Thank you. Your union thanks you for your service, because it is through active participation, active membership in chapters that this is made possible. Step up and serve. Tadi has got 2 daughters. Monjama is coming. 2 more kids are coming. Tadom, 4 kids. And he is still serving. I've got 4 girls. So please, it is easy to look for an excuse. But if you really want to put your heart and put your love into something like that we care about, like our union, you will find the time to make it happen. So thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the show. Folks, this is BFU-USA Let's Play Hardball. We will be right back with the next episode after this musical interlude. Very, very, very.